Midweek Analysis.
Hey guys, this is a midweek analysis for April 14th of 2021. Okay, we'll start off with the pound dollar. This is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Alright, so there was a weak double bottom right here. And since weak double bottoms typically do not go as target height, which is generally in this area right here, in the long term, we are short biased right back down to this pivot low right here. However, since this double bottom still has a little bit of strength long at this point, in the medium term, we are long biased right back up to this pivot high right here. Okay, let's talk midweek price. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Here's the setup that we've been looking at for the past couple of weeks. So here's a strong short trade right here, and then a weak long trade formed right here. So as price pulled back, we were looking for short entries right back down to this pivot low as a target, and that target has been hit yesterday. Now at this point, we're going to wait for another long trade to form, and if this long trade is stronger than this short trade, well, that's in line with our medium term target, so we could take that long right up to this pivot high as our target. On the other hand, if this long trade is weaker than this short trade, then again we'll be waiting for a pullback up as far as possible so we could take it down to that long trade stop loss level as a target. Alright, so some possible levels where that long trade can form is on the monthly chart. So let me take you over there. Alright, this is a monthly chart. First of all, try drawing this horizontal level right here. Now this horizontal level is a monthly gap between these two candles. Alright, the other side of the gap is very small. It's right here. Okay, and also try drawing this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here. Now a possible level where that weekly long trade can form is on this confluence level right here, with these monthly gaps and this monthly trend line level, which is generally at the 1.3660 to 1.3645 level. Okay, so let's just see what happens when price gets down to this level right here of confluence and see if a long trend forms on that weekly chart. Okay, so let me take you over to the daily chart to show you what's happening on the midweek price. Alright, this is a daily chart. So 2 days ago, there was a long trade that formed right here. However, this long trade was slightly weaker than this short trade up here. So since the power differentials between this long trade and this short trade was minimal, there may be a small pullback for the time being. However, it is not likely that this long trade will take price up to that medium-term target we were talking about up here. So for the time being, I recommend just waiting for that weekly long to set up, then we'll gauge its strength and see if we could take it to that medium-term target right up here. Alright, so there's one last thing I want to show you on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so on this 4-hour chart, there was actually a legitimate HNS that formed right over here. Now just for educational purposes, I recommend actually drawing these trend lines and actually making sure for yourself that this is in fact a legitimate HNS. For reading price on real-time price action has a lot of benefit in terms of learning how to read price. And if you don't know how to find legitimate HNS patterns, please check out lesson 8 of my price action trading course, and that should clear that up for you. Okay, so let's go on to the NZD USD pair. Okay, this is a weekly chart. We'll start off with an overview. So since this long move right here, starting from this range right here, was solely based on momentum, in the long term, we are short biased right back down to this pivot low right here. However, since there's a little bit of momentum long left in this move, in the medium term, we are long biased right back up to this pivot high. Okay, so let's talk midweek price. Alright, we'll stay on this weekly chart. Now some price levels we were waiting for so we could take a long right up to that medium term target right up here were these levels. So this trend line from this pivot to this pivot, and this trend line from this pivot to this pivot. Now we were talking about how we want price to respect these trend lines with compact price action on the weekly, daily, or 4-hour charts. Now for the time being, price is respecting these trend lines. However, the price action on the daily and 4-hour charts is slightly not compact enough. So let me show you what that looks like. I'll take you over to the daily chart. Alright, so on the daily chart, price is respecting that weekly trendline level with compact price action. However, for me, this price action is slightly not compact enough. Okay, so in other words, the width between these peaks are slightly too wide. Now let me also show you this on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so even on the 4-hour chart, the price action is slightly too wide. So what I mean by wide is there's too much distance between these peaks, right? So at this time, I'm not comfortable with taking a long trade right up to our medium-term target that's way up here with this type of price setup. Moreover, last week, we were talking about the last long trade that formed on this 4-hour chart was right here. And this long trade was slightly stronger than all these short trades. Thus, we were expecting a little bit of move up. However, since our medium-term target is way up here at this pivot high, I was not comfortable with taking this long setup right here to target such a distant target. So at this point, there's one of two things I want to happen to target this medium-term target up here. The first one is for price to pull all the way back again and make a stronger long trade at these lower levels. And the other one is for price to begin making even more compact price action on those weekly trend lines we were talking about. So again, we want smaller distances between each peak. Okay, so for the time being, I recommend just waiting for one of those two things to happen. Moreover, if you already have long positions based on this long trade, I recommend taking targets early because although this long trade was stronger than these short trades, it is very slight. Alright, so let's go on to the USD-JPY pair. Oh, and please subscribe if you like these videos, and please press the like button. It will really help me out, guys. Thank you. Okay, this is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. Okay, ultimately we're short bias right back down to this pivot low. But before that, we were talking about the pullback to 107, then to 109, and then down to this 101 pivot low. So in the long term, we are still short bias right back down to this pivot low. However, since we're still waiting for this long momentum to slow down, in the medium term, we are neutral bias. Okay, let's talk midweek price. Okay, this is a weekly chart. Now, if you recall, the first thing we want to see for this momentum to wane is to see two weekly consecutive candles down. Now, at this point, that second candle seems to be forming. However, we have to wait until the end of this week to see if this second candle does form. Okay, and the other thing we want to be watching for this waning momentum is on the monthly chart. So let's go over there. Okay, so on the monthly chart, we're talking about these levels from this pivot to this pivot. In this general area right here where price was respected many times, we want to draw a trend line at those closes up here. Now, in order to eventually target our long-term bias right back down here, the first thing we do not want to see is for price to get past this range here. For if price does close and get above this range, there is a possibility that price could reach this trend line way up here. So that trend line is from this pivot to this pivot. Okay, so the second thing we do not want to see is for price to get above this monthly area right here on the monthly or weekly charts. Okay, so in terms of midweek price, there is one last thing we do want to watch for that waning momentum. So we'll stay on this monthly chart. Let me just zoom in real quick. Now, seeing that there was a breakout of this trend line from this pivot to this pivot right here last month, and seeing how this trend line is very prominent, I'm sure many are watching the retest of this trend line to confirm this breakout. Now, price is right at that trend line retest level right now. So what we want to see in terms of waning momentum long is furthermore for this candle to break back into this trend line, causing a failure in the retest of this long breakout. Okay, so we'll just have to see if these three things happen in the coming weeks that prove the slowing down of this momentum long, so we could ultimately take a short right back down to this pivot low target. Okay, so that's it for the midweek analysis. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, guys. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.